Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. As always, on my left I'm joined by the world famous Nick Pateman, and on my right, the nefarious, notorious, the infamous Dan Holt. And this week we are talking about Twitter's IPO. Yes, earlier this week Twitter announced via a tweet that they were going public. Now, this wasn't a surprise for everyone, but it does have sort of connotations, and I want to keep this week's question simple. With Twitter going public, what does this mean for users, and what does it mean for marketers? Nick, what do you think?
I think everyone was expecting this. I think to some extent we've all kind of had the thought that Twitter would probably follow in Facebook's footsteps. It's been publishing a lot of how great the company is recently, with how valuable its advertisements are and various other things. So I think it's got people hyped up a bit. Obviously they don't want to go down the same Facebook hype that Facebook saw, because their stock price plummeted by about 50%. So I think they're really keen, as I think a lot of people would agree, is that they're trying to keep it quiet. But yeah, I think in terms of pre-IPO and post-IPO and how things are going to change for marketers, I think what's great about Twitter and not so great about Facebook is that the conversations are very much open. Like with Facebook, you only can communicate between friends and it's all quite private, whereas with Twitter it's completely public. So what I think will happen is Twitter will come up with some really intelligent ways to advertise, and I think we'll find that actually you can kind of jump into these conversations that are happening in real time and being able to kind of advertise your own brand in front of people as they begin talking about it. So I think from a user's point of view, we're probably not going to see a great deal of change for the better. It's probably going to be a few more advertisements. They're going to be targeted and probably quite intelligent advertisements, but I just think from a marketer's point of view, it's brilliant, and I'm personally looking forward to Twitter being available in the UK.
Dan, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, there's sort of two directly opposing forces here. So on the one hand, clearly they're going to be very, very keen to continue to expand their user base and increase the amount of time that people are spending on Twitter. But on the other hand, they're going to be looking to monetize that platform as aggressively as possible. I don't think those things typically go hand in hand. I think one thing that's interesting is when, at the time of the Facebook IPO, at that point Facebook were already at about 1 billion users, and you sort of felt, well, okay, they might be able to expand it a little bit, but realistically, can Facebook double, triple their user base? Probably not. Whereas I think if you'd asked any of us maybe a couple of months ago, could Twitter conceivably double, triple, quadruple their user base? I think you'd have said, well, possibly, why not? I think now that they've decided to go public, I think it makes it a lot less likely. I think realistically, with the surge of advertising, we've seen just how aggressive Facebook have been in the last year. I think it makes it a lot less likely that they'll continue to expand. I think from a user experience point of view, they might be able to keep to get people to spend more time on Twitter. There's been a bit of talk about making the Twitter stream more sophisticated, so you can switch between different kind of topics more easily. I think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement there. I think personally, I feel Twitter's a bit of a clumsy user experience at the moment. I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think from an advertising point of view, I think really we're going to see a number of big things. I think we're going to see a lot more rich media. I think a lot more images, a lot more videos. I think we're going to probably see a bit of a decline in fake profiles, pseudonyms, those kind of parody accounts, which are a big part of Twitter at the moment, but represent no value to advertisers. There's no data to work with there. So I think we might see more incentive for people to use their real information. I also think we're going to see better commerce integration, whole tweet to buy, that sort of thing. I think in summary, we're going to see it become a lot more like Facebook. But to be honest, sorry, go on.
Was that because of the IPO? Because I mean, Twitter's already got like private backers that they need to satisfy. Like the people have put a lot of money into Twitter, and they need to perform.
But I think the pressure from Wall Street. I think it makes the whole structure of an organisation very, very different. And I think we've seen that with the likes of Facebook, Groupon, etc.
I mean, what I would say is I'd say, from a marketer's point of view, I think they're going to try and heavily monitor. I don't think we disagree. They're going to try and monetize the platform a lot more. So actually, it's always good to jump on board when they originally monetize it, because there's a lot of like opportunity there. I would say. I think from a user point of view, if you look what happened with Facebook when it went public, they've got into a lot of privacy legal problems, because they've been trying to aggressively monetize it based on breaking users' privacy, and I think we could all agree that actually, if you look at Facebook before it went public, it was actually, from a user point of view, actually better. Now I get a lot more sponsor stuff
And
in
if
my
you look,
face.
I mean, like for example, now they're on the verge of introducing these autoplay videos, which they're saying they're not going to introduce initially from an advertiser's point of view, but they've used the words initially, which basically says it will be will be there for ad generation.
There's a couple of things, because Facebook obviously had that billion member user base, which is at that point you're saying they can't expand more, but because they weren't monetized.
I think they can.
You're right.
But
I think you're right. I think you can't really expand that far beyond a billion right now, anyway. But what they had going for them was the potential to suddenly monetize and take, basically they weren't really monetizing their platform at all before the IPO, and now they just started monetizing it, and their share price has been going up massively. It's now,
and that's why I think it made a lot of
$20.
sense. I think they were in a fantastic position for it. I think it almost feels like a bit of an admission from Twitter that they're probably not going to get much beyond 200 million.
And for my final question, guys, David Cameron very famously said, too many tweets make a twat. Have you guys ever tweeted anything you've instantly regretted? I mean, obviously, I've always worried for your sake, Dan, of all those pictures of those your six-pack abs that you have on your phone that might go up in your pocket.
And they've always gone down pretty well.
Yeah. So,
to be honest, I mean, I generally try to be very careful, but there was, early on in my Twitter days as a Twitter virgin, I was a little bit naive, and there was this lady, I was probably about sort of 23, 24 at the time, and there was this lady, this business lady, who was complaining about the state of the economy, woe is me, etc., etc. So I thought I'd send her a tweet of encouragement, quoting Eisenhower, "There's nothing to fear but fear itself." She promptly replied, telling me to go to hell. So I kept my opinions to myself.
That's mad. So you tried to kind of motivate her, and she just...
I think it was probably coming from a 23-year-old that knew nothing. Probably
didn't understand. I don't appreciate the power of that quote. No, fair enough. I mean, I'm similar. I keep my personal tweets kind of away from Twitter because I don't have any really. I mean, I kind of find that you can put yourself in a lot of hot water doing it. But certainly, yeah, when I first started out, several kind of tweets you kind of regret and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really know how to work Twitter and what it was actually about. So I kind of just, not really knowing what to do, just kind of go around tweeting various famous people, hoping that they'd kind of engage with me and have a conversation. So I would literally just kind of send the same tweet around the rounds.
And they didn't respond?
Not one of them didn't respond. And I just, I mean, I think you were maybe on my C list or something. There are certain people, but yeah, there certainly is A-list celebrities. They didn't, for some reason, have a reason to talk to me.
okay, well, thank you very much, guys. As always, this has been the Inbound Debate, and we'll see you next week.